Welcome back to some professional Beyond All Reason, the spiritual successor to Total Annihilation, modernized, revolutionized, and now lay your eyes on the number one player, the Cyril of Bar, raising the bar, spawning as the Cortex Commander here on Theta Crystals just a couple days before the biggest 1v1 tournament for Beyond All Reason, which I will be covering. I'm sure these two players will be in it, but I give you pro Randy. Starting off here on Theta Crystals, a beautiful looking 1v1 map, in my opinion. And just on the other side, I want to introduce the players before we do the basic intro stuff. As Armada, it is Goopy. I didn't think I would laugh when I said it, but I'm here now. The rank 2 player in Beyond All Reason. Starting off with vehicles very quickly. You guys know by now, but you gather metal, you gather energy, you turn it into build power, and you use that build power to build an army. In 1v1 though, all that matters is killing your opponent's commander. So, the goal, to build the right army, the right units, or whatever you need to destroy that commander. Nothing else matters. Now, in 1v1, the ability to defend entrenched positions is relatively small, and there's a whole lot of running around the map trying to pick off exposed resources, but already starting off, Randy has opted for a bot lab and is using the grave robbers to reclaim some of these juicy minerals, golden minerals, which we all know are the most valuable. So, as well as some construction bots, using the commander to sink that extra build power into the bot lab, and will be now producing some grunts to match Goopy. Goopy not happy about it. These players know each other very well. In Beyond All Reason, currently matchmaking is more like calling out someone and fighting against them. I know the higher level players will create lobbies to battle each other. But there is something personal about how you set up these games. You have to actively accept a challenge and then choose to battle against your opponent, which is even more, in my opinion, intimidating than your sort of StarCraft ladder, where you queue up and who knows who you're going to get, but at least you don't have to actively call them out. I don't know who usually gets the better end of this exchange, but I do know these are, by a pretty decent margin, the top 2 players on the leaderboards. So, hopefully you guys are enjoying. I kind of, now this is on what some of you may not even know at this point, my second channel. I usually cast StarCraft 2, but I've been having a lot of fun with Beyond All Reason. I tell you, I bring you the best games to the fans, and I truly think Beyond All Reason is one of the best modern strategy games, despite being a free, open source volunteer effort, or maybe because of that. And I don't know too much myself, so I don't feel super qualified to make a bunch of advanced guides like I did with SC2, but I'm working on it a little more every day. One of my favorite features is seeing the ability, like what each player is looking at, essentially, with the cursor highlights there. Very helpful for me as a caster as well to tell when they're looking and when they're not. Of course, we got also the player view and player camera. Anybody can download replays. The only thing you can't do that I would like is rewind. But yeah, anyways, like and subscribe. And let's take a look at the full overview. Some things to point out: the metal and energy incomes and where they're investing in. With vehicles, you get a bit more mobility, stronger units early, but pound for pound or metal for metal. Usually the bots, the infantry is a little stronger, but with Armada, you only have access to pawns, which are more expensive than grunts and have marginally less range, which means a top tier micro player can actually continually kite and outrange your pawns. So a lot of Armada players that I've noticed opt for the vehicles first. You've got the blitzes, as well as, I believe, stouts are your heavier medium assault tank. Vehicles do trade quite well with bots. If you can get within range, you can pick the fights, but bots can outflank the vehicles relatively easily. So, interesting split between the tech trees here. I'm actually going to go... We're going to do a little bit of player view, player camera, get an idea of how these players play. Their settings might be slightly different. I prefer to use the grid control settings, but for casting, I go to default because there are just so many camera options. I still... Like, if you got any tips and stuff like that, I don't know what I'm doing. All right, I'm figuring out as I go along. So, but hopefully you're enjoying. That's really what matters at the end of the day. Also, I get to pick my songs. All right, what is Goopy doing over here? Finding a fight. So far, able to take most of his side of the map. There is a pool of water in the center that seems to mostly be for terrain reasons, as there is no tidal power available. You can see up here, 0 tidal speed. So that is mostly just there as a terrain blocker. Though, of course, amphibious units, and I guess technically hovercraft and aircraft and all sorts of crafts can easily avoid it. All right. And now Randy. Oh, let's go to the Randy cam. Who's moving those grunts in across the board. Able to circumvent, in fact, 2 construction vehicles here. Vulnerable splits off a single grunt. Takes out 2 construction vehicles. Quite an efficient trade. And by trade, I mean he just murdered them. That's not a trade. That's like, it's like, I stole your shoes. What did you give me? The ability to walk on bare feet more regularly. That's not a trade. The blitzes come up and clear up the grunts, but already a pretty big blow to the map control of Goopy here. And it's all about gaining ground and taking those resources, as there is that metal throughout. Most maps have a relatively equal amount of metal on each patch, though there will be exceptions. Like this high ground metal, only accessible, I think, via air, is 2.4 here on the top of the plateaus. But as you can see, this hill, the high ground doesn't give an exact advantage, but it does make it easier to, it affects the range of some weapons. As many laser weapons have damage drop-off, there's accuracy drop-off, stuff like that. Grunts still exchanging fire with the blitzes here. Blitzes doing their best not to get surrounded. Always important. Let's take a look at exactly... I'm still trying to... I do apologize if I make you nauseous with the camera work. There's so many options. I'm trying to find a time and a place to use them, including my personal favorite, the FPS cam, which is by far the easiest to get distracted by, but it apparently isn't really being actively developed. It's just there for funsies, but on occasion. So by default, you can switch the camera. I mean, we can make all these some sort of tutorial. You can find all the options, many of the options here, the default keys. Editing them takes a little more effort, but of course, this is beyond all reason. So you can pretty easily, with Notepad, add some new sorts of hotkeys. But here we go. A real fight here. As the blitzes are closing in. Brutes being added on by Randy, who's opted for a vehicle plant of his own. And we'll battle it out around the north side, but the addition of those brutes, I think, has been enough. Oh yeah, vehicles move slower up hills. I know, crazy concept. I believe bots do as well, but to a lesser extent, because legs are pretty OP. But here we go. Just duking it out. The bots have taken the high ground. Goopy forced to retreat, and in fact losing some of his blitzes here. More grunts. Meanwhile, match each other to the south. Interestingly, Goopy has added on a bot lab of his own using the pawns. They've closed the distance with the grunts. They have far higher DPS at close range. It's essentially the difference between some rifles and some submachine guns. Meanwhile, big fight to the north. The grunts may have bitten off a little more than they can chew. But 2 different types of tech for both sides now. It's Goopy who's now added in the bot lab for the Armada here with the pawns, whereas the Cortex vehicle plant has been added for the brutes. He's queued up 100, but I think that's just, I want to keep building these whenever I can. Let's take a look at the energy. Overall, Randy has a marginal advantage when it comes to energy production. He's looking at 984 up against 820 of Goopy. I'm not sure what, it looks like both of them heavily invested in wind, so the wind will affect the overall energy production of both players in the game. Goopy coming over the top with his blitzes. A lot of wrecks to potentially be reclaimed on the ground, but initial volleys, oh, stouts as well. Medium tanks for both sides, but the concave is good. And even some light flanking damage in the numbers here. I'm not sure, like, what the cost is. 225 versus 235. So very comparable. A little less energy. Let's look at the DPS here. DPS 83, DPS... So very similar. Overall, the Cortex tank slightly more expensive. As Cortex, I would say, is more known for those bots. Overall, you see those playing a bigger factor in many of the team games, but of course 1v1. All right, trying to find an angle. Not all those shots will land, also an important thing to note. But just testing the waters here, Goopy already pre-setting some turrets across the top. A whole bunch of grunts as the battle continues across the diagonal. Neither player been able to claim even all the mexes. Actually, I take it back. Goopy's done a very good job. He's pretty much got all of the metal extractors he can get on his side of the map. Still barring this over here. Oh, I just wanted to use the fancy little drawing tool. Now, anyways, all right. So, what do we got? Oh, some Centurions, the tank bots, trying to lead the charge. He's even revived some of the grunts, but the Centurion's doing a pretty good job of tanking. They have by far the most HP of any infantry in this battle. Getting a flank, though, and clearing out with the pawns. The Centurion's blocking an entire flank, but it appears Randy more than ready for this as he spreads those grunts out and easily dispatches the rest here. A bit optimistic, but Goopy keeping the pressure on, and he's still a little far. Oh, the construction bot. He has the reclaim area dragged in. Oh no. Well, we'll get that extra metal, but we'll lose the construction bot in turn and trying to punch through down to the southern side. We see Goopy on the aggressive front, driving through with the stouts on top of the brutes, getting some flanking damage. But again, Randy seems to have enough on the line. Those Lazarus repair and res bots, both sides trying to pick up what wrecks they can and put them back into the fight. I hear shurikens. Are those shurikens? Where are we seeing these? Yeah, shurikens from an air pad. The shurikens, the EMP bot's able to stun, especially those lighter units pretty easily. And the addition of them will be able to hold down a lot of Goopy's bot army here on the bot lane. And, well, take it out. I'm pretty sure you can reclaim them while they're EMP'd. You can see the little EMP bar building up. I can think of some games that could use a more, kind of a counterable EMP system. I don't know if I could name them. You might have some that come to mind. Rather than something that just lands and wipes out the effectiveness, it's something that can be countered, work back and forth, but the tank battle continues to the north side. A lot of those tanks getting all jammed up here as the hill working against them. Randy doing a good job of spreading out his brutes, but the sheer amount of tanks, once they get going, Goopy may be able to work around the corner here. I believe he has the numbers. The incomes are about even, but the bombing run's coming in as the grunts now lined up in the wrong direction, those bombers. But is there actually any anti-fighter at the moment? Or any fighters to deal with the bombers? Oh, here we go. The shurikens moving in. Some of the stouts getting stunned here. The brutes trying to match them, but there's more than enough, I think. In order, wow, this is a bit of a mess, especially with the EMPs factoring in. Some repairs. It appears Goopy has the advantage in the bombing runs here. As well, Randy's commander is a bit vulnerable, but I don't think the bombers are going to be able to take it out. It has more than enough HP. Wrecks across the field. So far, damage efficiency goes to Goopy, though he's produced significantly less energy overall. But, of course, a few good bombing runs could change all of that. Bomber's probably not finding the ideal targets here. Randy set up his base, his wind farms, in a way that makes it very difficult to find a critical amount of damage with those bombers. Very different than you see in many of the team games. Alright, bombers have been cleaned up. Shurikens... I don't know how many shurikens are still on the field. A few patrolling over, just a few shurikens added in to slow things down. A bit of a mistake here, though. Oh, I think he meant to go the other way, but caught on the shoreline, creating some wreckage for himself. Ooh. Alright, well, here we are. The tank battle. Looking for an opportunity. It's been going back and forth. The wrecks actually do have a sort of collision and can potentially block shots here. So it isn't just that they provide metal, but this battlefield is getting so crowded with the husks of dead tanks that the tanks it's a mess. They can't even get the salvage off the field. They're firing over the bodies of their former team and enemies. It's hard to tell. Just the tank battle I have no idea. I'm pretty sure the high ground provides a lot of extra advantage here, because some of the tank shots from Randy, they're more likely to hit. You see some of them hitting the wrecks. Oh, some ticks. I don't know why they're drawing a lot of fire. The battle continues on both fronts. Goopy really trying to press through right now. And I think he's starting to gain some momentum. Even some of the tanks ranking up, which provides a marginal increase of HP. The more damage you do. So, it's not like leveling up in a MOBA, but it does give you some a marginal edge. Like, if we look at the tank that has now 25 plus 18% health. So, it's a health increase. But Goopy, looking for the advantage, finds an opening, moves to the low ground here. Construction bot reclaiming the metal. There's no other kicker besides some of the grave robbers added in. So far, a hectic game, but I think Goopy is making some real progress. As I say it, he's retreating. I'm not sure how much build power either side is sinking in to their vehicle plants. Randy seems to be maxed out constantly on his metal, just not able to spend it. This battle, just the metal recycling that's going on. You reclaim the wrecks and pound them into a new tank to send to the front to create new wrecks, to reclaim, to pound into a new tank. And so far, the battle for Goopy's Hill continues. But remember, it's at this time I have to remind you, in order to win a game of Beyond All Reason, you must destroy the enemy commander. And right now, neither side is, well, if either side solidly claims this hill, they'll have a direct run towards the economy. So I think that's what we're essentially having this heated debate about here. If Goopy is able to make his way down, obviously from this angle you can see that Randy is not far off. But at the same time, if all this investment is broken by some of Randy... What do we have? Those are air constructors. It does look cool from this angle, I think. I do love the camera options. Eventually, I'll get used to them. I think that just the customizability is pretty amazing. Is this finally Tier 2? Even the spectators, which we have some of the commentary from. Tier 2 on both sides? Wait, Tier 2's already done! And adding in some of those much heavier and much more expensive tanks as both sides exchanging fire in this just constant battle over the hill. And you can see on the other side of the map a bunch of grunts and pawns going at it as well. Wait a second, what are those? I'm looking on the far side. Oh, it looks like construction vehicles. But the grunts are trying to punch through. The turrets are moving forward. Actually, make that pawns. Some pawns on both sides now, as some of those have been resurrected and reprogrammed. But here we are, the pawns breaking through. Goopy not able to secure the bottom of the hill yet, but it looks like he's made some real progress to the southern side here. Oh, a beamer turret outranges the light lasers. Just that constant damage output. I don't think it scales over time. It's just essentially constant damage. I do love the look of it, too. Oh, God. Randy is moving up. Does he have any tier 2? He doesn't have any tier 2 tanks with this. Looks like Goopy doesn't really eat. Oh! What the... I'm not sure what that was. I completely missed something. Was that a self-destructing? One of those spy bots, maybe. I'm still learning. Oh, but the pawns are moving in. Randy scrambling to defend, even while he potentially punches through. The tank line is certainly thinning out. But we have a bull. Multiple bulls coming up. These massive tanks with several times the HP and damage output. That could be the fulcrum from which the game swings as long as Goopy is able to maintain the pressure to the south. So far, Goopy has had... It feels like map control. Overall, his income... Well, his income is now... He's claimed the hill. So with it, much of the potential metal reclaim as well. And both sides trying to add in some metal extractors. I do love the design of this map. This is clearly a 1v1 map. It's created some choke points without being too closed off with that water. Oh, those bull tanks just punching through right now. More than enough damage to turn the tides. And without any tier 2 tanks, Randy may very well have to give this up, even if he does have... Randy is more technical. We're having a philosophical... Oh, whoa, 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 what are you doing? He's all stuck. The Sheldons, the tier 2 mortar bots. It's tier 2 bot lab here out of Randy. The Sheldons don't have huge damage, but they have a lot of range, and they move pretty quick. So they're able to shell this high ground from range quite efficiently. Now, these are all beamer turrets here from Goopy. They also hit air, though they're not nearly as good at it. Randy's still holding. The standoff will continue. I love the lines of windmills here. I think trying to avoid that chain reaction potential. I mean, he's just minimizing any opportunity to really get a critical hit on his economy. But the bull tanks are punching through. Trying to go to FPS cam on this hill may have been ill-advised. I will say, I do apologize. But those bull tanks, the Sheldons are no match. The armor of the tanks, I don't know if there's a damage reduction, but while the Sheldons hit pretty hard, in comparison, what is the damage on it? Yeah, it's about 60 to 100. The bull tanks have 4,500 or so HP. So you need a real critical mass of Sheldons to deny them going forward, especially if there's any repair. A sumo. Well, one of the tankiest bots on the mid lane there only costs, it's 560 versus the 950 metal of those bull tanks. Some ticks coming in, trying to draw some of the hits. Mostly just there to die, but essentially throwing anything he can on top of those Sheldons. And Goopy's making some real progress here. He's getting very close to the production and, of course, to the commander. Goopy's done a great job of maintaining map control. As well as honestly, on both sides, he controlled the hill, and he controlled the southern side well enough, and now closing in on both. He's kept that tank count together. And now, it doesn't seem like there's anything to really stop it. Randy, the commander, had to back off here. D-gun might be an option, but a desperate one at that. As the production, once the infrastructure starts getting hit, oh, the tank's kind of getting jammed up as they come out, but he lost the production opportunity. Randy setting up for a flank, looking for the D-gun. But at the end of the day, oh, the bulls are still hitting. The D-gun doesn't connect. Oh, 1 HP, he dodges. It's not even close. Oh. Randy survives for now, but at what cost? We gotta ask the question. I think Goopy, I really, this is probably a great game. This was from the Beyond All Reason Discord. And please, if you're watching this And you're a high-level player. I'd like to thank at least a few of them. Please send more games on that Discord, or to me directly. Oh my, get some. All right. Yeah, but the Bulls charge through. Goopy holds him, hammer and anvil. Holds the south and wins the north. Randy will go down this time around. Let's see, let's look at that production. The metal production about even. I really think it was just how they partition their units off. The interesting split where they both eventually go for both bot lab and vehicles. Randy tried the aircraft. Maybe we could have seen more with the shurikens, of course, as did Goopy, but neither player really relying on them. One takeaway is I really like the map. The look is cool, and I think just from my one game example, well designed. But there you go. Quite a spread of the tech. I hope this was educational, entertaining. I hope you enjoyed, and what made your day a little bit better. What do you think? We're going to be casting a lot more 1v1 with the tournament coming up. But do you want to focus more on the build orders or the spectacle, or just find a mix and it's getting a little better? I don't know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.